Why, hello everybody. Welcome back to a different kind of video today. Today, we're going to be showing you how to make some good prep meals. Now, today I'm just showing off one that I use all the time that has helped me with bulking personally. I'll also have the ingredients posted in the background here while I'm talking over. But yeah, this is a very good high protein, high calorie meal for you guys. Obviously, you could switch things up as you go, but I'm going to show you personally how I cook it, and you guys could take it from there. Anyways, let's get into it. Before I do anything else, I like to get all my stuff ready. I like to start off with my lettuce. You can start off with whatever, but today I'm going to be starting off with my lettuce, and I don't even have a knife. Okay, we got a knife. So this one is a little bit iffy, but yeah, we're just going to be cutting our lettuce into lettuce pieces. If you don't know how to cut lettuce, I'm not going to show you how to cut lettuce in this video, but you're always going to want to wash your lettuce beforehand as well, just if there's any pesticides, anything like that on there. But you're relatively going to take off about a decent amount of the lettuce as we are making a taco salad. So now that we got our lettuce actually taken from the thing, we're just going to chop it up into little thinner slices, just so it is a little bit nicer when we actually eat it. We got all of our lettuce done. Now, you also may be asking, what other veggies can you throw into this? Me personally, I've just been putting lettuce and cilantro into it. You can put other things in it like tomatoes, stuff like that. I personally just not a super big fan of tomatoes, so I don't throw it in. But you can always throw stuff in like cilantro to add a little bit of freshness, stuff like that. Now, I'm not going to lie to you. This recipe calls for a big bowl. So what I like to do is I just like to take a big old bowl. Doesn't really matter. I just have big ass metal bowls, but this is going to be a lot of calories you're going to be having. So make sure you do have a big bowl in your kitchen. Just get some sort of pan. For me, I just use these simple $7 pans from Walmart. And actually this thing, clutch, if you guys don't already have a really good non-stick pan, I recommend you go get it. Not just for cooking this alone, but just for cooking in general. Especially when I'm cooking this, the ground beef tends to slide really, really easily on the pan, which is kind of nice because we don't want it to stick. And it's really easy for cleanup as well. But this thing has just been a lifesaver for me. I don't even know what I'm yapping about. Just thought I'd bring it up, but yeah, it has saved me so much. Now, when you do any sort of your cooking whatsoever, you should always have a drink on standby, at least I believe. And if you're bulking, what better way to do it than with chocolate milk? This is a really simple, easy meal for y'all to make. Like I mentioned before, really high in protein, really high in calories. When you're starting off on your pan, you just want to put it to that medium-high heat. Me personally, I'm different from some people. I like to cook up my ground beef kind of a different way than the regular person would kind of cook it up. Now, how I like to start off my ground beef is I like to take it and basically just flatten it into the pan. And the reason I do this is just so it gets kind of like a crispy texture on one side completely. And then when we actually ground it up, obviously the rest of it will get cooked. It's just to give that one side kind of like a crispy kind of outlining, so when you're eating it a little bit later, it's not like some mushy ground beef. Now, while we wait for that to cook and get a little crispy on that bottom layer, I kind of just wanted to talk a little bit about food, stuff like that. So keep in mind, everything that I'm eating just works best for me. So keep in mind that this meal is decently high in fat. Now, with that being said, you can drain the fat out of it, but wait a little bit of time. My sister just brought me a cookie. Everybody has different caloric values that'll hit them the best, and like I mentioned before, this recipe is going to have a decent amount of fat in it, so you could always drain the fat from the ground beef. Me personally, I like it just because I do get crappy joints from time to time. That fat is going to help a little bit with your joints, stuff like that. But me personally, I also just don't get a lot of fat on my body, so that's also another reason why I keep it on. But this thing is starting to crisp a little bit, so let's go check it out. So as you can see, she's cooking pretty decent on that underside now. So basically what I like to do is just press it into that pan a little bit more, just get it going a little bit. And I'm going to turn up the temperature of this just slightly, just so it can cook a little bit faster. But yeah, we're just going to be pressing it down into that pan and just move it to the middle of the pan just so it gets the best of that heat. Obviously, all this is going to depend on your stove, so don't listen when I say I'm throwing it on high heat, because yours might be way stronger than mine, but that's what I've just figured works best for mine. But we basically just have a big ground beef patty sitting in here right now, so we're just going to let that cook for a couple more minutes, and then we're going to chop it up and actually make it into ground beef. As you can see, even on these backsides here, and even a little bit right in there, you can see that it's starting to get a little bit of that brown tinge. Not brown tinge, kind of more grayish, just that color ground beef. You kind of want to get that color consistency right there with your ground beef. We're going to let it cook obviously a little bit longer just for that to get a little crispy, and then chop it up. But that's kind of the color you're going to want to see coming on the underside of your ground beef, and you can even notice it a little bit over there. But that's the color you're going to want to notice with your whole ground beef. That's how you know it's fully cooked and fully done. Basically what we're going to do is we're just going to come in here and yeah, it tends to splatter a little bit, which is okay. You can always get a little pan cap to put over this, but basically you just want to come in here, just start chopping things up, and as you can see, even just right there, that part's nice and crisp. But yeah, just want to come in here, basically chop it up, and this is where you're making it into the ground beef, so you do have that crispy layer there. That's all good and ready to go. Okay, so now we do have it decently ground up. We're basically just going to let it cook, rotate it until we see a nice color, and then we're going to add in our seasoning, and then basically just set everything up from there. The reason why I'm making this cooking video is because I know there is a lot of people who, you know, maybe just be starting, they're just starting to get into that bulking and cutting sort of mindset, or just bulking because you either haven't been able to put on weight in your life like I have, or you haven't been able to lose weight in your life like a lot of people, and most people who go to the gym haven't. But I will say this, the one thing about food is it is so important when it comes to the gym. You are not going to be making any sort of progress if your food isn't dialed. You could be working out as hard as you possibly can, and yes, you are going to get those beginner gains for, you know, that first year, year and a half, but kind of after that time, you know, you really do need to focus on what you are eating, and not even necessarily healthy, but at least watch what you're eating calorie-wise. That is very important, and the amount of protein you're intaking too. Those, I think, are the two main things that are obviously very important. And then obviously, depending on the person you are, if you are trying to lose weight, you should be watching on your fat and carbs, stuff like that. And if you're trying to gain weight, obviously you're going to also want to be looking at those carbs and calories for the most part. But me personally, I grew up a very skinny kid. I was basically just a bird when it came to eating. And I don't know why that is, but I wasn't able to eat a lot of food growing up. I don't know, it was just a thing. But, you know, we try to make tasty meals out here that you can eat. And obviously you could still do this if you're cutting too. You're just going to want to get the lean ground beef, not the medium lean where it still has the fat in it. You're going to want to get that lean stuff, and obviously there is other lean options as well. And of course, certain things in this, such as the Quest chips, you can obviously add in for that protein as well. Okay, so now that we got it basically cooked here, obviously you can see we got a little bit of that crispiness going. We're going to turn off the heat there, and we're going to get our Old El Paso taco seasoning, and basically just douse our ground beef in that. Now, obviously, if you're cutting, you're going to want to watch how much you're putting on here, but we just kind of give it a rough estimate. The more the merrier, I would say, if you are bulking. But yeah, it's going to give it a nice little color here and a beautiful taco flavoring. But even just the smell, I wish you guys were able to smell what I'm smelling through the screen right now. But basically, you're just going to give it a good little mix up here. And if you do also notice some spots after mixing up the seasoning that don't have taco seasoning, obviously you could keep mixing it, or you could just add a little bit more. Me personally, I like to add a little bit more, just because I like that extra flavoring a little bit more. And that is the ground beef section done. Now this is going to be super simple. Basically, you're just going to take your ground beef from your pan, and look how easy that slides in the pan. This is why I was talking about that non-stick pan. It slides really easy, it doesn't hold on to a lot, and basically just slide it into whatever bowl you have. We got our ground beef in the pan. We're going to get our cheese grater here, and our great value cheese that I just picked up at my local Walmart. And basically, you're just going to go straight from there and just grind in that cheese. And once you get that cheese in there, just kind of mix up your cheese with your ground beef. It's not going to look too appealing as of yet, but I promise you, eventually it will look really good. This doesn't seem like a lot of cheese with the ground beef, because keep in mind, we do have a pound of ground beef, and obviously you can add more or less cheese depending on what you're liking. Now, next step is, obviously, we are going to add our lettuce in this Johnson. And keep in mind, like I said, this is a really easy meal to make. And what I like to do is, after every little bit I add in, I like to stir it up just so it's already mixed. You can throw it in all at once. I don't think it really matters too much, but I just like to mix it up after every time I go. Just kind of blends everything together a little bit better. And obviously there is going to be other things we are adding, but I just like to do this after every single one. Just mixes it up a little bit better, so when you are putting either more seasoning in it or any sort of like sauce, like we have the taco sauce, it just makes it blend a little bit easier and nicer. Now that we got the lettuce in, the next thing you can do is you can go one of two ways. So you can either add your protein chips of choice. For me, I got the Quest taco chips. I've also used the Quest nacho chips and the Quest lime chips, and they work really well with it as well, but you can use whatever brand you want, or you can put in the sauce first. Now, me personally, I like to put in the sauce first because I like my chips to have a little bit of crunch, but if you like your chips to be a little more soggy with it, obviously throw that in. And same thing here, we're just kind of eyeballing it. For me, I like more sauce just because if not, it might taste a little bit dry. But same thing again, if you are cutting, which if you are, this video most likely isn't for you, you're going to want to throw in less sauce or no sauce at all. We do have that sauce mixed in there, but I do feel like I need to add a little bit more. So we're just going to add a little bit more and then mix it up. We have it all mixed up now, so we're just going to grab our Quest chips here, simply open them up. As you can see, we have a full bag of Quest chips in there, basically. Just going to want to crunch these guys here until you get them to a size that you kind of like. For me, I just kind of like a little garnish sort of thing. And then basically just pour all of it in there, and then same thing, mix it up again. We do have our taco salad done and finished. Now, sometimes with your taco salad, you may feel it still tastes a little bit dry after. If that's the case, just add a little bit more sauce, mix it up, and it should be fine after that. But obviously, taste as you go, figure out what you like. But this is a really good bulking meal if you're ever trying to put on some weight and some protein. Just with the ground beef alone, it is 80 grams of protein. Adding these Quest chips in, or whichever protein chips you get, these are an extra 19. 80, 19, that's 109 grams of protein. And for the misconception that you're only able to intake 30 grams of protein in the span of a certain amount of time is complete BS. It's complete BS. Scientific studies have shown that you're able to take up to 150, which is interesting. Obviously, try and spread out your protein within your meals, but if you're looking at packing on a little bit of extra weight and getting in close to 2,000 calories of food in the span of 10 minutes, this is a great recipe for you. I hope you guys enjoyed the little bit of a cooking video today. I'm going to go down this Johnson because I am starving right now, and this is going to hash out all my cravings. So, without further ado, I will see you guys tomorrow, man. Peace.